Kubo, for the kind invitation. We heard a wonderful talk about last year's summary, and I'll try to talk, not Finkelstein, Lotan. It's a different talk. You know, I see the slides. It's not my slides. Yeah. Okay. So as was mentioned by Dr. Iakovou, I'm trying to discuss what are we going to face in the future, what's coming. It's not there yet, so waiting to see my slides.
So there's some latency.
No, no problem.
So I can see that as well. Thanks.
So it's quite difficult to predict what's going to happen in the future because the market is changing so quickly. But we'll try to go over the main things in structural heart disease and especially with the valve and see what is coming and how should the market be, let's say, in 4 or 5 years from now.
Well, you cannot predict the future, the market, and the traffic in Athens, maybe.
Yeah, it goes together.
And maybe the internet connection or what's happening. Yeah. But let's see. You have all this information, Jaime, with the ICI. Yes, you're there. Yeah.
We're there. So this is the talk, the developments of new valves. And as you can see, the world is changing quickly. Initially, it takes years and years, and now it takes months. And since we had ChatGPT, now we have 21 different AI models. So things are changing very quickly. Just to remind us that had the telephone revolution when we started with this telephone, and we thought that the digital should be the change. And as you see, we thought that that's the end of the revolution. And you can see that maybe in 5 years, telephone will be something folded or on your skin or whatever. So the changes in technology and AI are so quick that it's really difficult to predict what's going to be the future of AI. Before we start, we have to give the pioneer of TAVR, Alain Cribier. It's 24 years since he started. A small time for evolution, but we can see that the market is growing significantly, as mentioned here. The age is going down and down. The numbers of moderate and the year 2040, it's predicted that we're going to have 50 million people with this procedure. So the numbers are amazing. And if you look at the global structural procedure from in the last 10 years, it went 5 times up in a decade. So the numbers are going to be huge. I'll try to cover very quickly a lot of topics very quickly. First of all, you mentioned the low-risk patient, and really the partner 3 was the study that brought it to us and showing that in low-risk patient, we have superiority over surgery. And Braunwald, who passed away a month ago or 2 months ago, said it's a historic moment and all of us should be remember it as such. So this has really changed the market of TAVR. And Dr. Mariano mentioned asymptomatic severe AS, moderator AS, remodeling procedure, and all the changes that we're going to see. And you mentioned also the low-risk patient, the bicuspid valve, AR, which is slowly growing, small annuli, valve in valve, and asymptomatic. All those are going to change in the next few years significantly. You mentioned a small catheter. Just last week, it was mentioned that Boston Scientific invested $1.4 billion, purchasing 20% of the market. of the new Seagull valve that is going to be 8 French. So Arik, hopefully you will be doing radial, but just to show you how the market, remember everyone that we started with 24, and definitely things will be different. So this is with regard to TAVR, but mitral is a big mess. You wanted to have a mitral valve replacement easy. It's going to be more problematic. We thought that as far as TAVR, mitral will be the same, but the etiology there is different, and for each etiology you have a different solution. And you can see we have solution of leaflet repair like the mitral clip and Pascal. We have several companies for mitral valve replacement. You can see here 6, cardiac, Tendyne, Tayara, etc., but there are much more. You have annuloplasty, direct, indirect, so the thing is going up and up because the solution that currently is the only solution, good solution that we have, TEER, is not a perfect solution because we know that we leave the patient with mild to moderate MR or even worse, and things are becoming worse in the future. So definitely we need another solution in the future, and hopefully in few years we'll have mitral valve replacement similar to what we have in aortics. Where are the problems and where do we believe that we'll have mitral valve replacement? High surgical risk, MAC, recurrence after surgical repair, alternative, rheumatic heart disease, etc., etc. All those will be amenable to MVR. And one of the things that is coming now as a big challenge is the valve in MAC. And we see growing interest because we know that this is really very difficult. Tricuspid valve is even more complex. We have a lot of etiologies, and for a lot of etiologies, we have multiple catheters and multiple solutions. We have the annuloplasty, we have the leaflet devices, we have the heterotropic valve in valve that you put in the inferior of superior vena cava, and you have the orthotropic valve, of which only the Evoke is currently approved, but we're going to see in the next 2 or 3 years a lot of solutions with tricuspid valve. So this is a field that the numbers are growing. It was called the forgotten valve because we didn't care about it, but now it's becoming the most important valve. So we predict an explosive growth with tricuspid valve, maybe together in a lot of cases with mitral valve. We need a lot of technology refinement, and you'll see that the majority will be done transcatheter. Some of them, short minority, will be medical, and surgery still will be a very important part of it. Second big change that is going to happen, and it's happening now, is the improvements of imaging. You can see that in many cases, you have to have today AI and VR, virtual reality. It helps us all the way from the beginning of knowing where to puncture, all the way to planning our devices, and you have at the same time 3D echo, virtual echo, catheterization, etc., etc. And as you can see today, with the help of artificial intelligence, you can take the best plans for implantation. You know exactly where to implant the valve, and definitely it's called today fusion imaging. Fusion imaging, where you take CT, MRI, echo, and of course angiography will come together to better help us with this. We mentioned lifetime treatment, and the problem with lifetime treatment is valve degeneration. We can see what happens to the valve, both surgical, but also balloon expandable valve after several years. And there was a lot of research and question what is causing this bioprosthesis valve to degrade. We know that people are looking today at that as kind of rejection from the body, foreign. So you have the intrinsic mechanism, immunological reaction, inflammation, thrombosis, and panus, part of rejection. But we also have extrinsic mechanism like graft fatigue, tearing, and abrasion. There is a lot of research and already several companies. This is one of those companies, Facta, that have some solution that treats the valve before, and maybe you can better have the valve and prevent the degenerative changes that are happening with time. Another problem that also was mentioned is the valve-in-valve. We see that it's a growing problem. You can see in the right, one valve, the second valve, and the question is whether you put valve-in-valve, which both valves were implanted in the cath lab, or we have a lot of patients that had a surgical valve before, like you see here, and then the valve degenerated, and instead of going second time to surgery, they have valve-in-valve. And you can see that the numbers are going to be huge. This is the expectation of valve-in-valve until 2035. The numbers are going to be huge because usually the degeneration process takes 8-10 years. If we look at the curve of implantation, we can predict how many patients will have valve-in-valve, and you can see that between 25 and 35, there will be 5 times more, all the way to 50,000 valve-in-valve. And the market for valve-in-valve is going to be huge. In 23, the total TAVR market was 6 billion. Now it's going to be 6 times more. With this comes all the problems that we have in valve-in-valve, the need for leaflet modification. Danny Dvir is going to give a lecture. He was one of the pioneers, actually, that started the entire idea of leaflet modification, because if we put another valve, we're in a problem with the coronary arteries, so I won't go into all of them. Currently, we have only the safe cut that is coming from Israel, that you can see that it's cutting the valve. It's FDA approved. Not an easy procedure, but this is the one that is approved. But I can tell you that there are 5 companies that I know that are treating and trying to get with valve-in-valve. Why is this a problem? Because you try to do laceration, scoring, burning, excision. Each company is taking it from another place. There is a very nice group at the NIH that's going to electrosurgery and mechanical surgery. So that's definitely is going to become one of the procedures of the future with TAVR. Now we are coming to the new valves that we expect to have. First one is tissue engineered valve. We know today exactly how the aortic valve is compromised. It's a very, very complex anatomy. Each part of the aortic valve is a different tissue, different compliance, etc., etc. Endothelial cell, non-endothelial cell, muscle cells, and people are trying to design now cells based on that with the regeneration of the valve. I won't go to the entire process, but it's a very complex process. You need the scaffold, you need the cells, and you need all the things that to come together. So, and you need the cell adhesion. So tissue engineering is a growing thing, but I think that will take another 10 years. Other solutions, which seems to be a little bit easier solution, are either 3D printed valves. We know that today you have wonderful abilities of 3D printing. You can have in the same printer different substances, different machineries, different values of what you want to do, and you can actually have already bioprinting of aortic valve. And this is in animals, so maybe this will be part of the solution in the future. And again, it's a very complex procedure because you start with CT images, you start with MRI, you're trying to have segmentation of all those parts, and then you're going to the printer, giving all the information to the printer, color, machine, technology, different material, etc. But it might be one of the solutions. As you can see here, you start with the model, stem cell, biomaterial, bioink, and you go all the way. What seems to be more advanced, and maybe we'll see it in the next few years, is the polymeric valve. The advantages of the polymeric valve are huge. First of all, the biocompatibility. You have reduced risk of blood clots and rejection, and maybe the polymeric valve will solve part of the big problem of valve generation. The hemodynamics might be good or even better, and the major question of durability with polymeric valve might be very important. Also, there are issues of manufacturing. Today, to have the valve, you need to suture it. It's very laborious, taking a lot of time, and that's one of the reasons that the valves are so expensive. Part of it is also the companies, but definitely. And if we can have scalable, potentially more cost-effective with polymeric valve, that will be a change. And there are already several polymeric valves that are being developed. As you can see here, I won't go into the biochemistry of those, but you have a lot of new valve. I must admit that China is probably the leader in polymeric valve, and I foresee that in few years we'll have, like we have today, a lot of new cars, electrical cars that are coming from China and flooding the market. We will have polymeric valve coming from China, replacing some of the valve that we are using. And this is, for example, one of the valve that was already implanted in a patient in India from one of these companies. Polymer heart valve received first commercial approval of its kind. So definitely we are there. Other things that might help the market in the future and change our life is first simulation and robotics. We are in the age, as I mentioned in the very beginning, that AI and robotics is taking a big change. In the old day, simulation was like this. You looked. That's how we started to do TAVR 20 years ago, by learning one and one. But today you have good imaging. You can simulate everything, and there are several companies that you can do and basically take the heart of your patient exactly from the CT and do all the simulation that you want to do. And the last thing is the AI revolution, which is very difficult to predict how it's going to affect our life, especially with regard to structural and valve. It will be in all the stages. It will be in preoperative planning, in the image analysis. It will predict the success, the failure, the problems. You can get computational modeling exactly of your patient. You put it in the computer and it will tell you exactly where the valve, what's the success, where you do. It will help us of all the post-operative monitoring and follow-up, and will help you to detect early signs of deterioration. And there are already a lot of work that is coming. This is an interesting patient that just taking an ECG, where for us the ECG would normal, and the AI will predict that this patient has aortic stenosis and it's going to deteriorate in such and such time. So basically, AI will help us a lot. And now AI is coming together with robotics, and you have several places in which started the robotic. Initially, there is a big center in New York that is doing all the things together with robotic, positioning, placing. It looks very complex, but they predict that in the next 10 years, that will be a major change. And then the question remains, who is going to take the control? Are we, the interventional cardiologists, still will be in control, or someone else will take control, or maybe a combination of both of them? So with this, I would like to tell you that we are in the middle. We don't know where we're going. Where are we? Things are changing very quickly. There are some things that we can predict. A lot of this is not predictable. And if you want to hear more about new developments, I would invite you to the ICI meeting in December. Thank you so much.
Amazing talk. It's a glimpse to the future. Thank you, Dr. Lotan. So from your last slide, so it's not like between us and surgeons, so it's like between doctors and robotics in the future, you think?
Definitely. I think that the surgeon will change. When I started, the surgeon was sitting next to God. It was God and the surgeon, or the surgeon and God. I think surgery has changed significantly today. We know it. And I think they'll take less and less role. And whatever is left will be probably robotic. But we have to be careful that the robots will not replace us as well.
Definitely, and there are a lot of changes also triggered by AI in the cath lab in the everyday. So maybe we will transit from paperless cath lab to a cath lab that everything is being automatically.
No question. If you look at the
right?
amount of things that are happening, papers will disappear. You will talk and it will transcribe automatically. But what's nice is, and there is another Israeli company that is doing it, that the AI will tell you there is a problem. You might running into a problem. Your guide wire is too deep. Your catheter is starting a dissection in the left main, a small dissection that you don't see. So basically, you will have an AI sitting here and telling you how to continue, what to do, etc., etc.
So it's how to better accommodate all this knowledge, so that this is an opportunity for everyone. It's not like something that we should fear. But so, Arik, would you foresee 20 years ago that you started doing TAVI, that would be, exponential growth and all these developments?
And definitely, I did not. I don't think that any one of us could predict what will happen. But I think that, was it Socrates that said that as much as I know, I see that I know nothing, something like this?
And we have the person that can verify that. We have the Minister of Health, Mr. Eugenides, who knows everything about. Exactly. So this was the ancient Greek.
But it was Socrates, right? So I was right.
Okay.
It's one thing. Anyhow, I think that in structural valve interventions and structural cardiovascular intervention as general, I think that this is the best example in medicine that I have experienced, that the patient-tailored therapy is more important than anything. So we can learn and make another advancement, etc. But still, the patient-tailored therapy, which is mainly the structural one, which is tailored like a suit, will gain more and more place. And I think that in this aspect, the AI has got a lot to say, because all the pre-procedural imaging that we're doing today, in order to predict the success of a procedure, can be interpreted better by AI than by me.
Yeah, definitely.
So there is a place. Yes.
So thank you, Argi. So Chaim, thank you so much. So we will make a small